A very good afternoon. You are watching Rajya Sabha television. I'm Smriti Rastogi with Midday News. Let's begin the bulletin with the top headlines. ISRO adds another feather to its cap. Launch vehicle PSLV C-43 injects India's Earth observation satellite HISIS and 30 other co-passenger international satellites into orbit. Bilateral and trilateral meeting with world leaders, part of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 25 scheduled engagements in Argentina. Prime Minister to take part in 13th G20 summit theme around building consensus for a fair and sustainable development. Growth data with 2011 and 12 as a base year globally more comparable and more reflective of state of the economy, says Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. Government has recalibrated data for 2004 to 12, showing growth of 8.5% in 2010 and 11 and not 10.3% as estimated earlier. Congress promises farm loan waiver, free education for women in its election manifesto in Rajasthan. BJP releases manifesto for Telangana. Rahul Gandhi and Amit Shah campaign for elections in both the states slated for December 7th. And two matches at the Men's World Cup hockey tournament in Odisha today. Argentina to take on Spain and New Zealand to face France in the Pool A match. ISRO successfully launched India's Earth observation satellite HISIS at 9:58 a.m. from Sriharikota today. The PSLV C-43 rocket lifted off into cloudy skies at the end of the 28-hour countdown and was placed in orbit 17 minutes and 27 seconds after the liftoff. HISIS, developed by ISRO, will study the Earth's surface in visible, near infrared and shortwave infrared regions of the electromagnetic spectrum. Also known as a hyperspectral imaging satellite, it will help in monitoring pollution from industries. The satellite will also have other applications in agriculture, forestry, geology, coastal zone study and inland water studies. Along with HISIS, 30 other micro and nano satellites from 8 nations, including 23 from the US, were also launched.
The way the PSLV performed and injected the satellite one by one, you can just see how precisely the mission is happened. It's mainly because of the team ISRO's hard work behind this mission, along with the excellent review mechanisms we are in place. At the same time, that excellent quality system in place in ISRO. At the same time, supported ably by the industry partners to supply flawless hardware. Let me once again congratulate and compliment all of them for this excellent mission.
Some more news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday left for Argentina to take part in the G20 summit. The theme of the summit is building consensus for a fair and sustainable development. The Prime Minister will make a lead intervention in the first session of the summit titled Putting People First. Ahead of the visit, the Prime Minister said that during the summit, India will highlight the need for reformed multilateralism, which reflects the contemporary realities and can effectively strengthen collective action for global good. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also hold bilateral meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping and trilateral meet with US President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on the sidelines of the summit. Prime Minister will also meet United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, presidents of Argentina and Chile, and German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has spoken on the recalibration of growth figures during the UPA regime that was released yesterday. The growth rate for 2010 and 11 was recalibrated to 8.5% using 2011 and 12 as the base year instead of 2004 and 5. Jaitley said that CSO, which came out with the revised numbers, was a credible organisation and maintains arm's length distance from the Finance Ministry.
It was in February 2015 that the CSO worked on a new formula with 2011-12 as the base year, and the new GDP series was announced. At that time, they had revised the new GDP series from the year 2012-13 onwards. Since then, all GDP data, whether quarterly or annual, have been based on the new series. This new series is globally more comparable. It takes into account a far greater representation of the Indian economy and is more reflective of the real state of the Indian economy. When in 2015, this data was released, it revised the GDP growth in the last 2 years of the UPA government. That is the year 2012-13 and 13-14. Curiously, at that time, the revision had made the GDP grow upwards. So there was an improvement which was shown on the same basis in the last 2 years. At that time, it was welcomed by the people in the then government. In fact, they said that the new GDP series has conclusively established that we did not mismanage the economy. On the 3rd of February 2015, this statement was categorically made by the former finance minister, welcoming the new series. Now, in continuation of the same exercise, applying the same yardstick, the new series has been made applicable from 2004 or 5. So the growth on the basis of the new series may be revised upwards or downwards depending on the applicability of the data. The formula is the same. So when you compare the GDP from 2004-5 till 18, you can't have two different periods with two different yardsticks. The yardstick has to be the same. Now, based on the same yardstick, for the earlier 8 years of UPA, the GDP has been revised downwards. So you gain in some years, you lose in some years. Data is realistic. It is not fictional.
Meanwhile, the government on Wednesday lowered the GDP growth rates for the most of the 10 years of the UPA regime. It said that the data was being recalibrated to reflect a more appropriate picture of the economy. Chief Statistician of India, Praveen Srivastav, told the media that the methodology and concepts used are consistent with international standards. The recalibration exercise led to a change in growth rates in the back series. Accordingly, it shows the economy in 2010 and 11 grew by 8.5% and not 10.3% as had been earlier estimated. Niti Aayog said leading statistical experts had checked the CSO back series for methodological soundness. It has also organized 2 roundtables with domain experts to ensure quality of coverage and methodology. The CSO back series relates to gross domestic product and the gross value added for period 2004 and 5 to 2011 and 12 with base 2011-12 prices.
Been the intention of this government to mislead or to try and do something purposefully which does not reflect the reality, and I'm actually serious on that, because I myself had cancelled the first press conference, if you remember, because the statisticians here, my peers, were not satisfied with what we had, and they asked us to do more work, and which is why we met again. And only after getting their assurance on the veracity and the credibility of this exercise, have we released it? And so there is simply no attempt at anything which is other than putting forward the technically superior and correct data on the growth rate in the economy.
Meanwhile, the Congress had reacted sharply to the revised GDP figures. The party has said it does not concur with the revision, saying it was an attempt to undermine the growth story in the past 15 years. And you can watch our special discussion on the GDP in our show, The Big Picture, tonight at 9:30 p.m., where the question we are asking today is, what is the need for recalibrating GDP? And now all the election news in Battleground 2018. Madhya Pradesh on Wednesday registered a record 75% voter turnout for the assembly polls for 230 seats of the state assembly. This figure is an increase as compared to the 2013 assembly election, when it was 72.69%. Voters turn out in large numbers in 3 constituencies in Naxal-affected Balaghat district, with percentage varying between 75 and 80%. Polling in the state was marred by complaints of faulty EVMs and VVPAT machines, with poll officials having to replace over 1,000 EVMs and more than 2,000 VVPATs. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan is seeking a 4th consecutive term in Madhya Pradesh, fighting from the Budhni constituency. The Congress party is seeking to dethrone the BJP. However, in the run-up to the elections, the party was plagued by reports of infighting within. Counting takes place on December 11th.
But in this particular 3 assembly constituency, 108 Bihar, it has reported 78% polling. 109 Lanji, it has reported 79.07% polling. And 110 Paraswara assembly constituency, it has reported 80.06% of polling. Regarding remaining 227 assembly constituency, the polling percentage at present, because it has been reported by a state that there has been, at some location, the queue is still there. So tokens have been distributed to the voters who are still in the queue. The voting percentage comes to around 75% in assembly constituency in Madhya Pradesh, which is in comparison to 2013, it was 72.13%.
And Mizoram recorded a turnout of over 80% in the single-phase assembly elections that concluded on Wednesday. The figure is likely to go up, according to the Mizoram Chief Electoral Officer Ashish Kundra late on Wednesday night, as the process to ascertain the final figure is still on. Polling was held in all 40 assembly seats in the state. A total of 209 candidates, 15 of them women, are in the fray. In Mizoram, around 55% of Bru voters in 6 relief camps in Tripura came to Aizawl and exercised their franchise as the 15 special polling booths created for them. Counting of votes takes place on 11th of December. Now, the Congress party has released its election manifesto in Rajasthan. Rajasthan Congress chief Sachin Pilot, former Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot and Chairman of the Manifesto Committee Harish Chaudhary released the party manifesto. Among the promises are farm loan waiver, jobs for youth, free education to women and right to health in Rajasthan manifesto. The party said that they received nearly 2 lakh suggestions while preparing the manifesto, and they have tried to incorporate the demands of the people in the party's document. Rajasthan goes to polls on 7th of December.
कि किसानों का जो कर्जा है उसको कांग्रेस पार्टी माफ करेगी और एक नई शुरुआत करने का मौका हमारे किसानों को राजस्थान में मिलेगा। हम लोगों ने मैनिफेस्टो में ये भी लिखा है कि हम जो महिलाएं हैं राजस्थान प्रदेश में जो लड़की पैदा होगी उसके पैदा होने तक और जब तक वो पढ़ाई करना चाहे सारी पढ़ाई उसकी मुफ्त होगी, निःशुल्क होगी। महिलाओं को प्रोत्साहित करने के लिए पढ़ाई में आगे और आएँ। राजस्थान संभवतः शायद पहला प्रदेश होगा जहां महिलाओं की सारी एजुकेशन राजस्थान सरकार वहन करेगी। हम लोगों ने इसमें राइट टू हेल्थ का मेंशन भी किया है। वृद्ध किसानों के लिए पेंशन का प्रावधान अपने मैनिफेस्टो में हमने शामिल किया है। हमने जीएसटी के बाहर जो कृषि के उपकरण हैं, ट्रैक्टर आदि, हम चाहते हैं कि किसान को राहत मिले और हम सिफारिश करेंगे और ये करेंगे कि जीएसटी के बाहर लेकर आएँ जो कृषि के उपकरण हैं, विशेष रूप से जो इम्प्लीमेंट्स हम लोग खेती के लिए यूज़ करते हैं। एक अकाउंटेबिलिटी बिल, उसका भी प्रावधान रखा गया है कि सरकार से जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स, जो एनओसीज, जो परमिशंस, जो भी चाहिए आम नागरिक को, वो विद इन 30 डेज सरकार उसको देगी। अकाउंटेबिलिटी बिल का हमने प्रावधान रखा है।
And the BJP has also released its manifesto for Telangana today. The manifesto was released in the presence of senior party leader Bandaru Dattatreya. The state goes to polls on 7th of December. On the campaign trail in poll-bound Telangana, Rahul Gandhi addressed a meeting with management and teachers of government-recognized institutions. He once again targeted both the Prime Minister and Telangana Chief Minister for failing to fulfill the promises made to the people. He said both BJP and TRS favor larger corporate institutions and are harming the institutions that are set up by thousands of entrepreneurs. He also said that the Congress party will change that.
If the Prime Minister of India can forgive 3,50,000 crores of 15 people, the richest people in the country, then he should be ready to forgive the loan of India's farmers. They are favoring larger corporate institutions, and they are harming the institutions that have been set up by thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs like yourself.
And Home Minister Rajnath Singh is campaigning in Telangana. He is addressing a rally in Nagar Kurnool. Let's take you live there.
जो व्यक्ति बीमार होने पर अपना इलाज नहीं करा सकता है, ट्रीटमेंट हॉस्पिटल में पैसा न होने के कारण नहीं करा सकता है, अब 5 लाख रुपए तक, 5 लाख रुपीस तक का फ्री ट्रीटमेंट दिया जाएगा। यह एक प्रोग्राम सारे देश भर में चलाया है।
సామాజిక ఆర్థిక అభివృద్ధితో పాటుగా మన యొక్క ఆరోగ్యం పైన కూడా దృష్టి పెట్టారు. గతంలో పేదల ఇళ్లలో ఏదన్నా అనారోగ్యం వస్తే, రోగం వస్తే ఇల్లు గుల్లయ్యేది, ఆర్థిక ఇబ్బందుల్లో పడేది ఆ యొక్క కుటుంబాలు. కానీ ఈ రోజు మోడీ గారి ప్రభుత్వం ఆ 5 లక్షల రూపాయల వరకు ఎలాంటి రోగ బీమా రచన, ఎలాంటి అనారోగ్యం వచ్చినా గానీ ఉచిత సేవలు 5 లక్షల రూపాయల వరకు కలిగించే పథకాన్ని తీసుకొని వచ్చారు.
मैं नहीं कह सकता यहां पर तेलंगाना में बीजेपी की गवर्नमेंट नहीं है। यहां पर चीफ मिनिस्टर ने इस आयुष्मान भारत इस स्कीम को लागू किया है अथवा नहीं किया है, लेकिन मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं, यदि यहां की गवर्नमेंट इसे लागू नहीं किया है तो हमारी गवर्नमेंट यहां पर आएगी तो आयुष्मान भारत की इस योजना को हम यहां पर लागू करेंगे और 5 लाख रुपए तक का फ्री ट्रीटमेंट सबको दिया जाएगा।
There, Home Minister Rajnath Singh addressing an election rally in Telangana. Moving on, BJP President Amit Shah will be campaigning in Rajasthan today. He will address 4 rallies there in Jaipur, Karauli and Nadoti. Voting for 200 seats of the assembly will be held on 7th of December. And now the latest from Jammu and Kashmir, where the 5th phase of the Panchayat elections is underway in the state. The polling is being held at 2,512 polling stations. Polling, which began at 8, will end at 2 p.m. 4,763 candidates are in the fray for 309 Sarpanch and 1,534 Panch seats in the 5th phase. 118 Sarpanchs and 1,046 Panchs have been elected unopposed. In the first phase of the Panchayat polls, an estimated 74.1% polling was recorded. 71.1% voting was recorded in the second phase. In the third phase, the state witnessed a polling percentage of 75.2%. A poll percentage of 71.3% was recorded in the fourth phase. Two terrorists were gunned down in an encounter with the security forces in Pulwama's Crew area early today morning. While no collateral damage took place during the encounter, police has recovered arms and ammunition from the slain terrorists. The identities of the terrorists is not yet known. In a separate encounter yesterday, most wanted Lashkar-e-Taiba militant Naveed Jat, who was allegedly involved in the assassination of journalist Shujat Bukhari, was also killed in the encounter in Kashmir's Budgam district. Naveed Jat's accomplice was also killed in the encounter. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has stressed on the need to pay adequate attention to the elderly population. Addressing a national conference of All India Senior Citizens Confederation in Hyderabad today, he said that 10.5 crore elderly in India were the most vulnerable and need care. He said that India traditionally enjoyed a robust joint family system, but fast-changing socio-economic conditions has led to its complete disintegration. He said the community, civil society and the government have to step in to fill this vacuum created by the falling family system.
The senior citizens of the country, our elders and our forefathers, they have given us that culture and that heritage, that tradition and all. It is the duty of the present day society, present day leadership to keep it up and then promote it and encourage it and pass it on to the future generation. This is my advice to the leadership of the country and also people who are at helm of affairs in various fields, including our own family members. Secondly, you are truly valuable and important to India and its future. Your wealth of experience will continue giving us wisdom and direction. I am happy to know that All India Senior Citizens Confederation, with a membership of approximately 20 lakhs in various states and union territories in the country, is the largest national level organization of senior citizens of India.
And as the Parliament's winter session approaches, my colleague Kavindra Sachan spoke with Rajya Sabha's Secretary General Desh Deepak Verma, who said that the House is fully prepared for the smooth functioning of the last Parliament session before the general election. The winter session is scheduled to begin from 11th of December.
ये सेशन बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है क्योंकि जैसा कि आपको मालूम है कि अगले वर्ष चुनाव भी हैं, तो ये सेशन एक ऐसा सेशन है जिसमें बहुत सारे कार्य संसदीय व्यवस्थाओं के अंतर्गत किए जा सकते हैं और इसके लिए हमने अपनी सारी तैयारियां कर ली हैं। सारे मेंबर्स को सम्मन्स भेजे जाते हैं, सूचना भेजी जाती है, वो सूचना भेजी जा चुकी है और हमारी इसके बारे में तैयारियां हो चुकी हैं। हम जो क्वेश्चन हैं वो उनके बैलेट्स होते हैं हमारे यहाँ, वो बैलेट्स प्रारंभ हो चुके हैं और विभिन्न तारीखों की, विभिन्न डेट्स की जो हमारा कार्य है उसको व्यवस्थित किया जा रहा है। इस बीच में 3 ऑर्डिनेंस भी पास हुए हैं और उन ऑर्डिनेंस को रिप्लेस करने के लिए बिल लाने की परंपरा होती है, तो उन ऑर्डिनेंस की जो बिल हैं रिप्लेस करने के लिए वो बिल भी संभावना है कि वो इस सेशन में लाए जाएंगे।
And you can watch that entire interview on Rajya Sabha television today at 5:30 p.m. Moving on, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has said there is a need for federal institution like the GST in 2 sectors. One is healthcare and the other is agriculture. Speaking at the 15th CII Health Summit, he said that political maturity can impose on governments to try that experiment to create such federal institutions. He also added that Ayushman Bharat will gain pace, resulting in patients realizing their rights and medical facilities, improving their healthcare delivery system. Jaitley further said that the fundamental principle is there, which is need for more resources to be invested in the social sector, and states need to be strengthened with more revenue.
There are 2 other areas which eminently require federal institutions of this kind. The GST was constitutionally provided for. Those areas are not constitutionally provided for. But political maturity can impose on governments to try that experiment. One is healthcare and one is agriculture. The states are spending on healthcare, the center is spending on healthcare. The states have their scheme, the central has its scheme. The states have their hospital, the center is also establishing institutions of excellence across the states. We are doing Ayushman Bharat, they also have parallel schemes. All this needs to be merged so that the benefit of these merged resources now starts falling to the benefit of the patient population of the country. Obviously, it will be implemented through the states with a central coordinating it. And if you have a federal institution, ultimately this is not a turf issue, is my scheme better than your scheme? It's essentially a welfare issue, whether the patients in my state are better than the patients in another state, whether they have more facilities. Every state would stand to benefit if this coordination through such a federal institution actually came up between the center and the states. And I think the federal institution experiment of the GST having succeeded, healthcare is an area where there would be the least resistance because it's a welfare targeting programs where we can move significantly a long way in making sure that India remains healthier.
And sports news now. India beat South Africa 5-0 in its opening match of the 14th Men's Hockey World Cup at the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar. Mandeep Singh scored the opener in the 10th minute, while Simranjeet Singh scored 2 goals to become the man of the match. The men in blue will next face Belgium on 2nd of December. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the Indian side for their win against South Africa through his Twitter handle. Earlier in the opening match of the tournament, Belgium defeated Canada 2-1. And in today's matches, Argentina will face Spain in the first game of the day, while New Zealand will take on France in the second game. And that's all we have for you in this edition. Thank you for watching.